Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to the SBC Children's Church segment. My name is Miss Imani, and you know what? I learned how to wash my hands when I was in preschool. I learned how to wash them by myself. But today, I wash my hands a lot more often. Since COVID-19, I found myself washing my hands not just when it's time to eat or time to cook, but just when I come into the house, I wash my hands. When I'm out doing things, I put hand sanitizer on because germs are getting on my hands and I want to get sick. So we wash our hands, we wash our bodies, we take baths and showers to get the germs off so we won't get sick. But guess what I'm going to do today? I'm going to teach you about another type of bath. Yep. This kind of bath I'll call a spiritual bath, a spiritual washing. Just like we have to get the germs off the outside of our bodies, we also need to get the bad stuff out of the inside too. So sometimes things happen in the world, or sometimes we do things that are not good. Sometimes we sin, and we need to wash the inside. We need God's help to do that. I'm going to call it a spiritual bath. There is a man in the Bible, and he was loved by God so much. God loved him, but he often did things he shouldn't do. Yes, he was not perfect, but God still loved him. But guess what he did? He took a lot of spiritual baths, and his baths are recorded in the Bible. That's right. Right in the Bible, you can just see how he took these spiritual baths. Do you know what his name is? His name is David. Check this out.
This is David. David is legendary. He was a king in Israel and ruled for 40 years. As a kid, God helped him defeat a giant named Goliath using a single stone and a slingshot. He also fought off a lion and a bear, all by himself. So he was basically a champion fighter. But David wasn't just a tough guy. He was also a poet. He wrote lots of the Psalms. That's a book of songs and poems in the Bible. David was so great that God said he was a man after his own heart, which basically means God thought David was a lot like him. But David wasn't perfect. Far from it. David lied and made big mistakes and even had people killed. His mistakes caused a lot of problems for the Israelites. But even though David was very far from being perfect, God used his family to be the one that Jesus would be born into. God loved David. Failures, successes, good things, and bad. And David loved God too.
As you can see, David was far from perfect. But God loved him so much because he was a man after God's heart. What does that mean? That means David wanted to be close to God and he depended on God for everything. This tells us that being perfect is not a requirement for God to love us. You are already loved and accepted by Jesus, and nothing can change that. So, God is close to us. He's close to you, he's close to me, but if we want to be close to him, we can look at some things David did. David was a man after God's heart, and he took spiritual baths all the time. How can you be a child after God's heart? Let's look at David's life as an example. Well, number one, David talked to God a lot. He made God feel special with kind words. Number two, David depended on God for everything good. Everything good in his life. Number three, David asked for forgiveness when he disappointed God. And number four, David devoted his life to share God with others. He committed his life to sharing God with others. Are you ready to be washed? Let's take a lesson out of David's book and read Psalm 51. You can also ask your mommy and daddy to read it for you. When you hear the words, let it be your prayer to God.
Psalm 51. Have mercy upon me, O God, according to thy loving kindness, according unto the multitude of thy tender mercies. Blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee only have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight, and thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. Behold, I was shaped in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me know wisdom. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Hide thy face from my sins, and blot out all mine iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and uphold me with a willing spirit. Then will I teach transgressors thy ways, and sinners shall be converted unto thee. Deliver me from blood guiltiness, O God, thou God of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing aloud from thy righteousness. O Lord, open thou my lips, and my mouth shall show forth my praise. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offering. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, and a broken and contrite heart. O God, thou wilt not despise. Do good in thy pleasure unto Zion. Build thou the walls of Jerusalem. Then shalt thou be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness, with the burnt offering and whole burnt offering. Then shall they offer bullocks upon thine altar. God bless the reading of his word.
Hey, join me and Teacher Nancy for a virtual art experience on Wednesday at 3 p.m. If you took a spiritual bath like David, type Psalm 51 in the chat as soon as you log in. Well, I hope you learned something today. Until next time. Bye-bye.